Hey, how you guys doing? Zane Weaver here, and we're not talking about Final Fantasy XIV or any Final Fantasy things today, but we're going to be talking about something that Final Fantasy did to a game that involves the same game company. So, do you guys remember Shadowlands and Shadowbringers and how people were running away from WoW and going to Final Fantasy XIV, and 14 basically kicked WoW off its throne as being the best MMO in the world and took that spot for a little bit. Now it's debatable on which one it is now, but WoW was suffering. It was suffering, and honestly, it was a bad time for a lot of folks who came over to 14 and other MMOs trying to figure out what else they can do. I myself went ahead and decided to play WoW to see what the hubbub was, and my new player experience was not the most enjoyable, and I could see why people were running away from that game. My character, who is called the Champion, which, okay. First off, what the hell happened between me freeing myself from the Lich King and being summoned to Anduin all of a sudden? Like 3 minutes ago I was being pelted by fruit in the street, the next thing I know I'm being called the Champion. The narrative around this confused me like no tomorrow. I actually had to ask outside help for a summary of what's going on in the story. But I did get a semi-viral video because of that, and it was a good conversation to have with a lot of people. Now, we have a different situation happening, and with a different game. It's from the same company, Activision Blizzard, on the Blizzard side, but in this case, they did not have a good start of a season. You guys know what I'm talking about, it's in the title, obviously, but Diablo 4. Now, my history with Diablo is that I started with Diablo Immortal. I know you're looking at me with some crazy eyes, but it happened. I then went into Diablo 3. And I did have fun with Diablo 3. I had a good time with Diablo 3, and I am willing to go back and see if I can beat that, but I wanted to beat Diablo 4. Now, I never really did get to level 100 with Diablo 4, but I could say that I did have a good time in the beginning while I was playing the game, and it was a good time until it started becoming busy work, and I'm starting to see the cracks in the walls, and I'm questioning the development and why they made the game like this. I don't understand why Necromancer needs to have 2 slots open just so that he can have his golem and his bone skeletons. I don't understand, because that only leaves me with like 3 options left for attacking and abilities like that. I don't know why that is. Beside all that, it didn't go well with a lot of other people who were playing Diablo 4, and people were complaining. So they had to have an emergency meeting where they were talking about and addressing a lot of this stuff. They didn't really address a lot of this stuff, and there's like a bunch of videos that everybody was making talking about how this situation was good that they had a meeting, but what they're going to do about it is the question. Now, I'm saying that a certain game is basically doing the same thing that 14 did to WoW right now, and it looks that way, and it looks like it's going to be that way, and that's only because it seems like PoE, the people behind PoE, I think they're called Grinding Gears Games, right? And I play the game, and I don't know why I'm saying it like this, but that company, they make games, okay? You could tell they make games, and you could tell that they listen to their people. They had a live stream for their next game, Path of Exile 2, and they basically answered everything. They basically told them what they wanted to hear. Like, everybody wanted to hear the answers that they were giving, and they're saying, hey, listen, you're gonna have a good time in Path of Exile 2. And everybody was eating that shit up, saying like, yes, we are. We're definitely going to have a good time playing Path of Exile 2. Like, honestly, looking at the live stream and the trailers and everything that we're talking about it, I'm even excited for Path of Exile 2. And this is not even my genre. Like, I just got into it. I'm a noob. But when I compare apples to oranges, looking at Diablo 4 to Path of Exile and Path of Exile 2, you could tell that there's love and care that they put into PoE 2 compared to like Diablo 4 and like their decisions, you know? And I get it. There are some things that they do in similarities, like the shop, the microtransactions and the macrotransactions. Path of Exile, being a free-to-play game, will have those things, and I think it's going to carry over into Path of Exile 2. Now, I would forgive Path of Exile because how fun of that game is just like mind-blowing. Like, it really is. It's mind-blowing how a free-to-play game doesn't piss me off. But at the same time, right, I wish I could just pay for it. I honestly do. I wish I could just pay for Path of Exile 2, pay for like $30 or something like that, and just have a good time. But if it's going to be still, free to play, then of course I'm going to have a certain skepticism against it, because that's how I am against all AAA. Well, it's not even AAA, is it? This is not a AAA game. I'm not really sure if Path of Exile is like a AA game or an indie game. I'm not really too sure, but I love playing it, right? I love playing that game, especially over Diablo 4 in its current stance. Like, there are things that Diablo 4 does right. Okay, they do it right, and they do it very, very well. But there are things that Path of Exile, the first game, does right, and it pulls me in, and I'm playing that game more than I am playing Diablo 4. You gotta question that, right? There's a question mark there. And when I'm looking at Path of Exile 2, they are addressing everything. It's like, why would I go to Diablo 4 when this game is probably going to shove it out in the water? Diablo 4 has its own issues, and I'm honestly going to say that it's not all that bad. It's not all bad, but it could be so much better, and I want it to be so much better. A bunch of the fans wants it to be so much better. But Path of Exile 2 just looks so good, and I can't wait to get that game. And when it does come out, it's really going to do what Final Fantasy did to World of Warcraft. It's going to kick its ass, and the people over in Diablo are probably going to have to get their ass lit up by a fire so that they can fix things or have the next game be a lot better, or the next season or next expansion that's coming into Diablo 4, they're gonna be like, okay, we gotta light a fire under our ass, we can't be beat by this indie game, right? That's what it looks like is going to happen here. Path of Exile, it just doesn't seem like it's going to hold itself back. It doesn't even seem like it's being made by a AAA game studio, but it does seem like it knows what it's doing. It does seem like it's being made by a company that likes to make games, that is making a video game and not just a product. There has been certain talks that I've had with friends, and this one's weird, I didn't know this would ever come up, but like, why do video games need to be fun or something like that? Video games are, video games, and how they're being made is set up by modern times. Now, believe it or not, yeah, I had this conversation where somebody said, why video games don't need to be fun, and I'm like, what? Wait, what? Video games are literally made to be entertaining. They're supposed to be entertainment. Thus, the word games in the word. It's video games, okay? Games are not supposed to be sat here for the sake of business. It's not here for work. It's supposed to be entertainment, right? The first video game was not made for the sake of being sold. The first video game is a little tennis thing that was made on a radar from a military submarine thing that they had to rip out, but they're at a science fair. I forgot the names of the major people who make this, and I forgot the name of the guy who made it, but he literally made that little tennis radar the first video game so that people can wait for the other exhibits at this science exhibits. Like, this is, I think it was like a technology fair, and you're sitting here looking at this radar thing with a little dot bouncing back and forth between one big line and two small little lines that you get to move with these trinkets that control it. That was the world's first video game, okay? But it wasn't made for the sake of profit. It was made to be entertainment. It's supposed to be a fun thing to do. Yes, a fun pastime. It's supposed to be entertaining. And I was not entertained by Diablo 4. Not in this season. No. I went to Path of Exile. I want to finish that character. And I will do it on stream and off stream, every now and then. I want to see what you guys say about all this. I want you guys to catch me on stream while I'm playing Path of Exile. I did put up like a poll, like Last Epoch or Path of Exile, and people were just like, yeah, Path of Exile. Just go with Path of Exile. I'm looking at this, and it's the same thing. History is repeating in the same company, but with a different game. Path of Exile 2 is going to kick Diablo 2's ass if the people in Diablo 2 don't do something about it. If they don't do it now, they have a whole year, but if they don't do it now, their ass is going to be kicked. You guys let me know what you think about this in the comments down below, and if you guys like the video, leave a like, that'll serve as a tip, and if you guys would like just to subscribe to the channel, that'll serve as my payment. I thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good night and take care.